Can you think of any tech job in 2025 with almost zero layoff rate? No, except for DevOps. DevOps is a set of practices, philosophies, and cultural approaches that aims to unify software development and software operations. It focuses mainly on collaboration, communication, automation, continuous integration, and continuous delivery of high-quality software. The term DevOps was first introduced by Patrick Deboy in 2007. In 2010, major tech companies like Amazon, Netflix, and Google championed DevOps practices. DevOps became standardized and fully adopted by top enterprises around 2015. Some of the key components of DevOps are collaboration between teams, shared responsibility and accountability, continuous integration, which entails automating code integration and testing, continuous delivery, which ensures that software can be released at any time, continuous deployment, which ensures that software are automatically deployed to production, continuous monitoring, which entails our real-time system and application monitoring, continuous testing, which has to do with automated testing throughout the pipeline, infrastructure as a code, which involves managing infrastructures through code. Terraform and Ansible are good examples. Microservices and containers. This involves Docker and Kubernetes for scalable deployments. Cloud computing integration, which entails using cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, and GCP for scalable infrastructure. DevOps engineering has been a very lucrative field since its inception. There are numerous benefits of going into DevOps engineering in 2025. Let's go through some of the benefits. DevOps engineers are among the highest paid in the tech industry. The average salary of a DevOps engineer globally ranges from $120,000 to $180,000. There are more jobs opportunities for DevOps engineers because different companies are rapidly adopting DevOps. DevOps is a very versatile profession because it is a combination of coding, automation, and even system administrative tasks. So being a sound DevOps engineer can expose you to different opportunities. DevOps improves team collaboration and enables faster deployments, and it also reduces system failures to the barest minimum. It can lead to career advancement because it opens leadership opportunities for you, such as DevOps architect, engineering manager, or even CTO roles. We need to look at some of the real-world companies that has adopted DevOps as a practice so that you will see how relevant it is presently. The first on my list is Netflix. Netflix currently uses Spinnaker for CI/CD and Chaos Monkey for resilience testing. Amazon rely heavily on CI/CD pipelines, infrastructure as a code, and serverless computing. As a matter of fact, Amazon deploys code every 11.7 seconds. Can you imagine that? Google currently uses Kubernetes and SRE, which stands for Site Reliability Engineering. Spotify already adopted microservices, Docker, and automated deployments. NASA also currently uses DevOps for space mission software reliability. Here are some of the reasons why I think you should have DevOps knowledge in 2025 as a software engineer. Knowledge of DevOps will make you stand out in this present competitive job market. It's going to give you knowledge of the entire development lifecycle of softwares. It teaches you practices that helps in minimizing system failures. It reduces unemployment risk because of the high demand for it. DevOps engineers are highly rewarded in terms of salaries. Now let's consider some of the essential technical requirements for someone that wants to go into DevOps in 2025. Firstly, you need to have basic knowledge of Linux and Unix commands. You should be very familiar with networking concepts such as HTTP, DNS, TCP, IP, and even load balancing. It is important that you understand programming languages such as Python, Go, or Ruby. A sound knowledge of version control is very necessary. Having a strong foundation in cloud platforms such as AWS, Azure, or GCP is non-negotiable. You should understand containerization, like knowledge of Docker or Kubernetes. This is a must. You must also be cool with CI/CD tools such as Jenkins, GitHub Actions, and GitLab CLI. You also need basic knowledge of system performance monitoring, such as logs, metrics, and alerting concepts. Basic knowledge of database such as SQL and NoSQL will also be very, very helpful. Now let's look at some of the ideal people that can seamlessly fit into DevOps engineering. Software developers who want to automate deployments can easily fit into becoming a DevOps engineer because they already have a strong knowledge of programming. System administrators looking to transition to cloud and automation is also a perfect fit. Cloud engineers who are interested in expanding into CI/CD and infrastructure as a code can also be a good fit. Quality assurance engineers interested in test automation can also be a perfect fit. DevOps is also open to fresh graduates or anyone that is passionate about automation and deployment. But the person must have some important traits, such as a problem-solving mindset, curiosity, that is, he should be very eager to learn new things, collaboration skills, attention to details. Alright? Now, I have carefully curated a comprehensive roadmap for anyone who wants to go into DevOps in 2025. This roadmap depends on where you are coming from. If you are already into software engineering or any other tech engineering intensive discipline, it should take you fewer steps and less time to become job ready. That is if you follow this roadmap. Now, in your first month, you need to learn the fundamentals of Linux. The key topics you need to focus on are like command line navigation and file operations, process management and system monitoring, user and permission management, package installation and management, hands-on practice with Ubuntu and CentOS, then overview of version control with Git, and basic shell scripting. Some of the resources you can use for learning shell scripting are Linux Journey, which is a free online course. Then you can also check Linux command line and shell scripting Bible. In your second month, you need to dive into Git properly and also learn the basics of networking. For Git, you need to learn things like Git basics, such as commit, push, pull, branch, and merge. Then you also need to learn advanced Git operations, such as rebase, cherry pick, and stash. You will also learn Git workflows, such as Git flow and future branching. Then you will learn GitHub and GitLab operations. Resources for learning Git are Git Book, which is free. Alright? Then GitHub Learning Lab. Then you can also use a practical project with Git. For networking, you need to learn stuff like OSI model and TCP and IP stack. Then you will learn DNS, DHCP, and HTTP protocols. Alright? Then you also need to learn about basic firewall concepts. Then you will learn load balancing fundamentals. For learning about networking, you can make use of resources like CompTIA Network plus other study materials. Then you can look for online networking courses. In your third month, you will have to start learning Python and scripting. You need to learn the basics of Python before you start considering Python for DevOps. For Python, you need to look into Python basics such as variables, data structures, functions, and the rest. Then you can go into file operations and error handling. Then you need to also start learning how to work with APIs and JSON using Python. After that, you need to look at automation scripts. Alright? Some of the resources you can use for Python are number one, like automate the boring stuff with Python. You can also check python.org tutorials. Then look for some DevOps focused Python projects, right, to work on. Then for shell scripting, you will need to cover topics such as bash scripting fundamentals. Then you also look at test processing with grep and awk. Then you also consider looking into automation scripts. Some of the resources you can use in learning shell scripting are learning the bash shell, online bash tutorials, and then make sure to practice with real-world automation tasks. In your fourth month, you need to dive into containerization with Docker. Learn things like Docker fundamentals such as images, containers, Dockerfile, Docker Compose, networking, and registries. Then learn about Docker file creation and optimization. Then you also look into how to use Docker Compose for multi-container applications. You can make use of resources such as the Docker documentation and also other tutorials. Then there is a book called Docker Deep Dive. Alright, this will be very, very important for you. You can check it online. You also need to learn about Kubernetes. You need to cover areas such as Kubernetes architecture, which entails pods, services, and deployments. Then you also need to learn about YAML configuration files. You also need to look about Helm charts for package management. And then you also need to dive deeper into monitoring and logging in Kubernetes. Then you still need to learn about security best practices. These are very, very important. Some of the resources that I will recommend you to use to equip yourself with the knowledge of Kubernetes are Kubernetes documentation. Then there is a book called Kubernetes Up and Running. Alright? And then you can check Kubernetes Playground environment. Now in your fifth month, you need to start diving into infrastructure as a code and also CI/CD. You will need a good understanding of Terraform fundamentals, provider configuration and resources, state management and modules, Ansible for configuration management, CloudFormation basics. Some of the best resources you can use are Terraform documentation, Ansible tutorials, and cloud provider infrastructure as a code documentation. For CI/CD and monitoring, you will need to cover topics like Jenkins pipeline creation, GitHub action workflows, GitLab CI/CD configuration, pipeline security and testing, and artifact management. Your best bet for learning all these are Jenkins documentation, GitHub Actions tutorial, and CI/CD best practices guide. Some of the monitoring tools you are supposed to learn about are Prometheus, which is mainly used for metrics collection, Grafana, which is in charge of visualization, the ELK stack, which represents Elasticsearch, Logstash, and Kibana. You also need to learn about alerting and notification systems, and also the observability principles. Some of the resources you can use are Prometheus and Grafana documentation, ELK stack tutorials, and then you also need to look into observability best practices. All right. Now, in your 6 months, you need to dive deep into understanding how different cloud platform works. All right. You can either choose AWS, Azure, or GCP. I will focus on AWS here. For AWS, you can study stuff like EC2, S3, and RDS fundamentals. You can also look at code pipeline, code build, and code deploy. You need to look out for CloudWatch for monitoring, and then you need to learn about IAMs for security. Alright? Then you also need to consider Lambda for serverless computing. Some of the resources you can use for AWS are AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Preparation, and then you need to check the AWS documentation and labs. If you have gotten to this point, please, you need to start building projects for your portfolio and resume. You also need to start seeking for internships. You will learn the rest things you need to become an expert in DevOps engineering on the job. Nothing beats learning with real-world scenarios. Alright? In summary, I strongly affirm that DevOps engineering skill is a very essential skill set to acquire in 2025, especially due to the rise of cloud computing, AI-driven automation, and microservices. Please follow for more.